What is up, everyone? And right now it's around 10:33 p.m. in the evening. And hello again, it's me, it's Liam, and today I'm back again with my fellow host, Miss 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝘀 for episode 2 of Incognito, where we will be talking about server-side development.
Yes, hello, Liam, and it is very nice to see you again. And we are back here in Incognitalk. By the way, I am Kaylee, and we are very happy. And you are very welcome to our second podcast, the second episode of our podcast of the CS cluster.
Last week, in line with the Alumni Connect event, we had talks featuring a number of front-end developers. I had attended a talk with Sir Miguel, and I just say that there were a ton of programs and IDEs that he covered. By the way, for those
Yes.
uninformed, is an integrated development environment, uh, which is like where we code. And can I just say that front end development just seems so monumental. And I'm glad that we were also able to have a conversation with two professionals last week on the podcast.
Yes, absolutely, Liam. I've attended the event too. I think that was last week, and I let me just say that Sir Miguel's discussion was very, detailed and very beginner friendly. And of course, as someone who is taking web systems and development since I'm still in second year, that was very helpful. And of course, the podcast and the events topic was quite matchy for me, quote unquote matchy. But anyway, so for today, we are joined by two professionals who are well versed with the world of back end development. And right now, they're both on the other side of the world. So, Sir Justin Mearns and Sir Joseph Tusoy. So, how are you and what time is it where you are right now? Let's start with Sir Justin.
Yep. I am currently in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. It's roughly 8:30 a.m. here. So it's like 14 hours difference from the Philippines.
Okay, there you go. How about you, Sir Joseph or Kuya Joseph?
I'm in Fairfield, Iowa, USA, and the time right now it's 9:36 a.m.
Ooh, oh, wow! It's like great to like be working with you guys for this like episode, and but like I just like to say that I'm reminded of like that one song, that one to 2010 song. What was that called? I think it was Jet Lag by Simple Plan. You know the song that goes like, "You say good morning when it's midnight." I apologize to all of our listeners out there who had to hear me sing.
You're quite the joker. Okay.
Anyways, we have
That's
so much
fun.
to ask you. Like we are so thankful that you can join us today. Like really thankful. So I guess like we can like start out with like our like talk or conversation like with like a question. Like let me think. Um, what's it like living on the other side of the world? Like what's like the differences? Did you experience any like culture shocks? How about we start with like Kuya Joseph over here?
Yeah, so it's really kind of eye-opening, especially when you are introduced to different culture and you've learned, marami kang matututunan ng mga culture, mga lessons from different nationality, especially here in USA. Diversity really here is like thriving talaga. So my workmates and my colleagues is from different countries as well, mostly. So I learned that different opinions, different kind of perspectives, and culture shock. Maybe a little bit, I feel, but more or less, like it's eye opening and it's kind of liberating too.
Oh, I see. How about you, Sir Justin or Kuya Justin?
For me, it's hindi siya masyadong culture shocking. It's because what you see on movies is what you experience here,
Oh,
culture wise. So, excuse me. So, for example, yung sa restaurant, they always greet you with good mornings and thank you and all those stuff. They're really big on that. It's not the same as in the Philippines na nagkakahiyaan.
Yeah, that's a thing here.
Yeah. One more thing is dito kasi sa Alberta, maraming Filipinos. So everywhere you go, you always see Filipinos. So it's not, when I got here, it's not shocking talaga when it comes to the culture and all that. So yeah.
Okay, that's good actually. So it's not that, culture shocking for the both of you because according to Sir Joseph, workmates niya usually from other nationalities or countries. For Sir Justin naman, he lives in somewhat maraming Filipinos, which is very nice. But let's start from how about your college experiences? Can you tell me more about what happened in your college life? Let's start with Sir Justin.
Yep, so college life when I enrolled in Ateneo back in 2011. Coming from my high school, I came from Kidapawan.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2-3 hours away from Davao, and I had no prior programming experience when I got to Ateneo, to IT.
Yeah.
I didn't know what IT was all about. I just enrolled in the course because, like, to many of the students, I think, to many of the freshmen, I enrolled because I like to play games. And so I didn't have any other course in mind. And so I wanted to try out IT because, computers, games, and all that stuff. So when I was in first year, first semester, si Father Denny agad yung teacher namin sa programming.
Familiar.
That was C, and that was C. It was, I wouldn't say traumatic, but it helped me. It was a bit scary because, everyone knows Father Denny, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But he has
Father
his
Denny
reasons. He has his reasons to be strict naman, and he wants what's best for the students, and that's why his teachings are like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wants, it's not only about, the lessons, but partly because of the, like, you learn to respect your superiority, like the teachers and all that stuff. So that was my experience in college. Nothing big really happened when I was there. So yeah.
Wow. I can very much relate with the Father Denny part.
Same.
Because funny story is like, I really appreciate Father Denny's teaching because when I had him as my teacher, it was like the first time that I learned how to argue my answers in front of a teacher through email, by the way. How about you, Sir Joseph?
Yeah, so like Justin, nag-start ako nag-select ako ng course. Computer science yung napili ko because akala ko walang math. At that time, I was big on graphics design. Mahilig ako mag-drawing, animator talaga yung gusto ko, which is not available. So may nagsabi sa akin na I should take computer science. And because at that time, hindi talaga ako confident sa analytical skills ko. And then when I take the subject, gulat na gulat ako kasi dalawang calculus, there's algorithms, a bunch of physics, maths, and all of those. But then eventually, nagustuhan ko rin in the end. In between the class, I learned how to study those subjects differently because I was thinking, iba yung approach ko. So then I start programming to the point na nagustuhan ko talaga at na-obsess ako. And then, so, ang college life ko is very, if I if I describe it, it's like a leap towards my like career journey because
Oh,
ado na mold yung skill set na gamit ko for developing my career now. So
that's good, sir. That's good. Actually, I can relate to the beginnings of for the both of you because when I also enrolled in IT, because I'm mahilig sa computer, so it's like, oh, let's go to IT. It's all about computers and stuff, without any programming backgrounds, and knowing that I'm a HUMS student back then, which is humanities and social sciences. Nothing about calculus, nothing about math, nothing. So I was like, okay, let's take IT because mahilig ako sa computer. But then, still thriving up to now.
Very true, Kelly. Very true. It's like I feel that was also a thing that was very also common with like the past speakers as well.
Yeah.
That they were also inspired to enter like CS computer studies like courses because they were inspired by video games. And
I knew a lot of people.
ooh, here's a personal question. Like what because like I know Sir Justin, like you were also inspired by video games, right? This is like a very personal question. What inspired you to like join like a CS course? Like what game was it, like a game or was it like someone who knows? So like what inspired you guys to like join a CS course?
So for me, it was because I like to play games. No one was really. I didn't look up to anyone that inspired me to get in the IT industry or study IT. But yeah, I like to play games, especially Dota. Even until now, I still play it. I think more than 10 years now. I
Wow.
play it since grade 5.
Wow.
I played the game. So yeah, I it's mostly on me personally, not on someone that inspired me to take IT. Also, I like to solve problems before, and back then kahit wala akong background sa IT, it was, programming is not about learning the language, but it's about solving problems. Learning the
Yes.
language is just the tip of the iceberg. It's like, I would say 5% of programming. It's mostly problem solving, and yeah, I was lucky enough na yung course na pinili ko is I have, the somewhat the skills to survive, like Father Denny and other. Yeah.
I see. How about you, sir? Kuya Joseph.
For me, because when I was in like start like end of high school, like I was parang sideline lang ako ng gumagawa ng graphics design. So gusto ko talaga related to animator, cartoonist. Kasi nga, bata pa rin ako, mahilig na talaga ako sa mga anime, cartoons, and mahilig na mag-drawing. So, just trying to bridge the gap nga, saan ko pwede siya magamit na hindi ako kailangan aalis sa Davao. Because I want to stay in Davao. So, at that time, wala pa akong nakitang cartoonist or animator na available at that time. So, I jumped computer science.
I see. There you go. Very interesting, yeah, very interesting answers, by the way. So yes, one of the speaker has, animation talaga yung gusto, but of course, due to some limits, you have to go through CS. At the one, na-inspire niya yung sarili niya. Nax. You only need yourself. Nax naman, char. So, another question though, what was your first job after graduation? And what was it like? Let's start with Sir Joseph this time.
Yeah, so I have I have a epic story about my first job. Like, so sa ano, like nag-apply kami sa actually may kasama ako nag-apply sa first job ko. Tatlo kami. And then same job position. And the two na kasama ko is classmates ko from 4 years kong classmates sa ADU. She's the 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝘀 twins. And then funny na after that interview, three of us got the job on spot. Na-convince
Wow.
namin yung technical director na tawagan niya talaga yung president at that time para i-hire kami. And then, so that was my first job. And actually, nung nag-graduate kami, like 9 lang kami graduate ng 2010 sa CS. And then 3 of us got on the same company, got the same job position.
Mhm.
So my experience in the first job was really cool. Learn a lot because my colleagues are classmates ko for 4 years. So it's like
Aw.
very cool and relaxed lang yung
Goals.
environment.
Yeah.
Very chill. How about you, Sir Justin?
For me, hindi siya cool, pero I was lucky with my first job because my OJT sa part of the curriculum in ADU is OJT, and I was lucky enough to get to Ingenuity. I don't know if you guys know the company, but it's famous in Davao, right? An IT company. So I started my OJT there, and then after ng OJT, they offered me to work part-time. They wanted to keep me even when I was still studying. So that was second semester of my 4th year. So I was working with them part-time when I was still a student. So working with them, and then my thesis pa. And yeah, so medyo yung thesis kasi namin simple lang. We wanted to keep it simple, so hindi siya yung complex. And then I had free time, so it was perfect for having part-time job.
Yes.
And then after graduation, that's when they hired me full-time. So I was lucky, I would say.
Oh. I wish a company would ask me to like work part-time after the OJT as well.
Same. Nah, it's not lucky, sir. You had the skills. That's why they had to keep you. So cool.
Very true, very true. So since we are talking about back-end development today, and you guys are like known back-end developers, so what is like an average work day for you guys? Like what occurs during your like work day? So like what's like what so Sir Justin's like, what is an average work day like for a back-end developer?
An average day for me, it's very boring. Unless you get assigned to a really fun and new project, like from scratch. In the industry, it's not always like that. You get assigned to an existing project most of the time. So everything is already there. You're just there to maintain and to sometimes make new features. Pero yeah, I would say 75% of the time you are maintaining something, debugging client issues, and all that stuff. And in my experience throughout my career, hindi siya 8 to 5 job where you work, you're always on the desk 8 to 5 p.m. I mostly worked remote when I think maybe 3 years after I graduated. I did freelancing and I had clients in the US, yung remote, you work remotely. So it was mostly output based. It's not your typical, it's not your typical 8 to 5 job talaga. So my hours were mostly flexible, and I preferred working late at night instead of working 8 to 5 kasi maraming distractions. Lalo na if you're working remotely at home, you need to cook for yourself and all those stuff. And so I preferred working late at night. So sa mga aspiring na developers, it I would say it just depends on what your career would be and what company you get hired to. But in my experience, my daily experience is it's not routine because I get to do things my way, my way. So yeah.
That's a great self-discipline right there. That's nice, sir. How about you, Sir Joseph?
For me, the typical day, the average day would look like, of course, there's may mga meeting talaga. We have a Scrum ceremony. I think mostly lahat ng mga company ngayon is kind of standard, like stand up meeting. Then most of the companies isn't into agile because it's proven na nag-work siya. So along with that, there's mga backlog refinement, yung pinag-uusapan yung anong yung mga task na gagawin. But also like you do programming by yourself, and you also like may tinatawag silang pair programming. You work with other developer to solve the problem at the same time. Meron ding code review and grooming. Ang grooming session, tinatawag na grooming session is para ma-enhance or ma-finalize or ma-prioritize yung mga task na gagawin. So, and then in my company, I'm so lucky because in the 8 hours, 6 hours is dedicated to development stuff, and 2 hours is dedicated for HR and self-development. So we are really have the time daily to master our skills by taking trainings. Some of the trainings is sponsored by the company. So that's how it looks like to me, my job and current job.
Okay, I see. So while you were answering, I was like imagining my life as a student, like coding just in my desk, in my desktop. I imagine ganito na siguro yung work ko soon. Like nothing special. You're just gonna sit on your desk and then do some, maybe code works. So
True.
maybe I think you guys vouched that. So yeah, I have my expectations now. But anyways, since we are already in the back end side, what do you do as a back end developer? Like, let's go to the technical side. What do you do? Like, ganun na lang. What do you do as a back end developer? Let's start with Sir Justin. Let's start with you.
So as a backend developer, I am tasked with more on the business logic, business rules side of things. So for example, because my background is in web development, backend. So for example, a user clicks a button. So you're tasked with handling what happens during and after the button is clicked or a button is clicked. And part of the backend development then is you get to research. Like if you're tasked with learning or incorporating or implementing new features, you're tasked with research. It's not always programming. In my experience, because also it's agile development for us, as what Sir Joseph said. It's a flexible type of approach to development. So whenever things don't work out, you can change your approach anytime, right? And to minimize that adaptation phase, you need to do extensive research. It's called research and development. But the first part is always research. So when I am tasked with making new features, like for example, let's make a feature to import Excel files and all those stuff. Sorry, importing files. So because my background is in Python, there are a lot of open source packages that you can use. It's just a matter of choosing what the right package is. There are a lot of tools already built in. So you need to do the research what is, efficient for the feature that you're implementing. Make sure that it won't limit you in the feature as well. So yeah, it's mostly development, debugging, customer issues, which is yung mahirap na part, debugging customer issues, especially if it's not your code, because you need to read everything. You need to trace the code, and then research and development. So yeah.
There you go. That's really interesting.
Very, very true. Very true. So, how about you, Sir Joseph? Like, what's your technical side?
Yeah, same with Justin. And I know, like, you guys being in computer studies, na-try na ninyo mag-debug, try na natin mag-program. And most of the times, that's what Justin said, na research, it involves research. And for me, as we know, the famous Stack Overflow website is very helpful. Like, I have no problem like just getting information from there. Just kailangan lang i-analyze mo if this solution is good. And most of the times, what Stack Overflow and other websites, forums teach you is not what to write compared to just what to write and copy paste. So yeah, that's very helpful. And part of the daily job is as a backend developer is you have to really manage the data. How do you manage the data? You have to know the database, and you have to, because especially working on like previous code handled by a gawa ng previous team, that let's say like legacy code. Some of times that yung data is i-transfer mo sa other database or all those stuff. So yung tinatawag nating data migration. At saka yung isang thing din na in the back end is yung gumagawa ka ng API so that the front end, instead na ko-connect sila directly to database, ko-connect sila sa API. So they are kind of dependent to you. And also, in the real life, ang mga systems is interconnected. So may tinatawag tayo na application integration. So that's also a back-end term wherein different application kinoconnect sila. Paano mo sila i-connect? Gagawa ka ng architecture, how to glue them together. So yeah, lots of things on the back end as well. Lots of architecture, and you guys will encounter that sooner when you get a job, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Like,
it is really exciting. Like, though it scares me to the part na you have to understand the other team's code or the legacy code, because I remember what Sir 𝗶𝗧 said, that if you leave your code for a month or two and you come back to it immediately, di mo na maalala yung code mo. How does this work?
Right.
How about another person's code, di ba? It is really complicated. I don't know. How about you, Liam?
It's like very true. Like, I'm just like revisiting old codes and then it's like I'm just like rereading through my old C++ codes. Like, I'm just like looking at this. It's like, who wrote this? What alien language is this? who in the right mind made this? And that was like first year. That was like
Yeah.
first year
Yeah.
code. So I'm just like, don't look at me. Okay. So I have a question from Twitter. Lexi at Alexi Aranton asks, how do you prevent burnout from coding? Ooh, that's like a spicy question.
Oh.
Question.
Sir Joseph, how about you start us off?
Yeah, I think there every programmer like comes to that point that there's start to have a burnout. So for me, that what works for me is I tend to have like make it a chunk. Whatever you are solving, make it like small chunks na masasolve mo siya little by little because ang brain natin is wired in a way na if makasolve tayo ng small problem, boost na may reward system tayo sa brain natin which is will make us happy. There's a pleasure there. We solve a little problem. So instead of looking everything, lots of problems, just make it smaller and then solve one by one, like divide and conquer. It works for me. And also like have also balance, like work and life balance. That's really important. Have enough sleep because if your mind is not fully functional, not 100%, then according to isang quote na sometimes it's better to rest on Monday rather than taking 1 week to solve the bugs that you introduced that Monday. So which is really true.
True. It's I heard divide and conquer, and like my most recent lesson was divide and conquer, so I was like PTSD.
Oh, man.
Scary stuff.
You can apply that concept in real life too.
Yeah.
Very true. So how about you, Sir Justin?
I would agree with what Sir Joseph said. To prevent burnout, especially yung work-life balance, it's very important for a programmer. There will be times na stuff will happen at work, especially with customer issues, and then kasi you really need, because working in a company, it's a business, right? The company is always a business, and you need to make your clients happy. And part of making them happy is solving their issues right away, especially if it is affecting a lot of users, or if worst comes to worst, all of the users.
Mhm.
And so when that time comes, kailangan mong mag-work overtime. You need to work more than 8 hours a day. And you need to, when that happens, you overwork yourself, and that's when burnout comes. So when you do things like in general, diba, when you do things, yung pasobra, it's bad for you. That's also the same with programming, unless you really enjoy it. Because I know some colleagues before, when I worked in Cebu, yung hobby niya involves also coding. So outside of work, he still does programming, but it's mostly fun projects.
Mhm.
And I will get to that in a bit, yung fun projects, because it's also very important. But to prevent burnout, I would say very important yung work-life balance. Dito sa, I don't know in the US, but here in Canada with my companies, yung I've worked with, because I worked with 2 companies here already for the past 3 years now. And my second company, the company that I'm working on right now, they're very big on mental health. So
Aw.
kasi
That's really
yung
nice.
owner yung owner ng company, I think he got depressed at some point in his life. And so when we have like the big meetings, he always reminds everyone to take breaks sometimes. Even in my contract, it says there that you need to take a minimum of 14 days leave per year. So they force you to take
Oh.
leaves.
Uh,
They really like that. um, yeah, and na-experience ko rin sa work ko ngayon because I'm fairly new sa company and so I don't want to take leaves, but my office mates, my coworkers, they take breaks like a month of break, and like every leave in the company is paid. It's unlimited.
Wow.
Walang limit. And you just need to have a few things before you take your leave. Like you need to have someone to cover your projects when issues come. And also you don't hinder your team you don't block them from progress. So if you meet those two things, you are allowed to take a leave like how long you want it. Pero the longest I've seen is a month of a leave. And yeah, I'm very lucky to be part of a company like the company I'm working with right now because they really value yung work-life balance. And a burnt out developer isn't really productive. It's
Right.
better na they take a day or 2 days off rather than having them working 24/7 or
I agree.
no breaks. Because when developers have breaks, when they return, yung battery level is full. So yeah, it's the work-life balance talaga.
That's really nice.
Very true. Very true.
It's very rare to see companies right now that value their employees' mental health, especially right now that we are in a pandemic. It's like they
Right.
want their they want their employees to work double because of what's happening right now in our world. But aside from that, I really like the divide and conquer mindset or something. I want to achieve that kind of, because when I do stuffs, I find the momentum ko, no? The momentum to do stuffs. So I can do it continuously. That leads me to procrastinate. My reason was that, wala pa yung momentum ko. So I need to find my momentum first.
Very
This is
true,
really
very true.
toxic. That's really toxic. So, yeah, I really need to apply that to myself.
Yeah, it's really about discipline, right? It's like
Yeah.
the ability to like take your time in parts, like setting time to do this, setting time to do that. I mean, just like if you can do that, you're less likely to burn out. It's like personally, I actually experienced this last week because like I felt like one responsibility after the other responsibility, then the other responsibility. Then
Yeah.
it was like just like one day like in the week, I was just like, I'm too tired. I'm not gonna do this, and skip class. Bad boy.
Oh, no. Bad. Hashtag bad boy, Liam.
Hashtag bad boy.
At sabi nila sa yung term na procrastinate,
Mhm.
ang sabi ng mga mga expert, it's a coping mechanism. Hindi siya yung lazy. You procrastinate because lazy ka.
Mhm.
Procrastination is yung na proven sa science is it's our way to cope up with lots of stressful situations.
Oh.
So that's why we procrastinate, because lots of things needs to be done. And you need your consciousness, but because you don't know which one to do, then that's why it's not a form of laziness. It's just your mind's way to recuperate and
Oh.
to
Like restore itself.
yeah.
Well, why am I stressed? Wait a minute.
To be fair, it's like I think I've read this at one point where our body's reaction, like procrastination itself, is a type of reaction, like what Sir Joseph said, And then I remember reading like a psychology type of article where they said that you're familiar with the fight or flight reaction, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
There were actually a bit more than that. And in procrastination, that procrastination, uh, pro- procrastination is actually a form of freeze response where you just like your body just like freezes up. Like you don't want to
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, I
Uh,
read that too. Like flight, fight, and freeze.
mm,
Oh, interesting. I should
Yeah.
read more about that. I think it might help me though. Okay, so yeah, moving on. Let's talk about the careers that you guys have right now. Throughout your career journey, what was the biggest challenges or challenge that you have encountered throughout your career? Let's start with Sir Justin this time.
Um, Throughout the career, I
Mhm.
nothing really. When I saw the question, or when I heard it, nothing really comes to mind that na traumatized talaga ako when it comes to my career.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say again that I was lucky with the companies that I work with, and also partly because I don't like working on corporate companies like big companies.
Mhm.
I mostly worked, or actually not mostly, most of the companies, or a lot, every company that I've worked with are startups, because I really like the culture of startups compared to the traditional, corporate companies, yung big names.
Mhm.
Um, because with startups, they are very modern with their approach to the workplace, the culture of the workplace. I talked about yung company ko right now. They're also a startup, and if you're in a startup kasi you have a voice um, in the company. It's not the same as when you're working in a very big company where marami kang, yung hierarchy ng management, it's there, like, the owner, the CEO, the board of directors, the CEO, and then, the head of the different departments, the directors, and then you have your senior dev
Mhm.
and all that stuff. And then you need to follow protocols. And if you're given a task, you need to do that task regardless. Like, wala silang, they don't care as long as you do the job. It's not like that in a startup. And so
Mhm.
that's why I don't recall like any very big challenges. Mostly yung challenges na, when I talk about challenges, it's mostly with the work, like technical wise.
Mhm.
There are stuff that you need to learn to study. Yung learning curve, sometimes it's very steep. And I would say those are the only challenges that, I can remember when I read the question. And yeah, so I'm not saying that corporate companies are bad. It just
Yes.
depends on the person. Like, if you prefer, or if you really aim to, make yourself like known and make yourself like very big. Kasi yung startup, they don't pay as much as corporate companies do, but you need to weigh in, like, do you want more money but you're not that happy, or do you
Mhm.
want to be happy and then you just earn, like, I would say more than enough din naman yung salary.
Mhm.
So yeah, for challenges, I don't recall like any challenges, but to speak for my friends here, kasi I have friends here who just graduated in IT. The biggest challenge is always finding that first job,
Yeah.
especially sa pandemic. Um, I would say na not, you need to know people like in the industry to, it really helps to get a job if you know people, especially sa IT, in IT companies. like yung mga referral, that's very helpful. So you need to really build your network. But it's not my own experience, but from what my friends experience, it's always finding the first job yung mahirap. Lalo na yung mga memes about, entry level position, pero they look for 5 to 10 years of experience.
I know, right?
Those stuff. Those aren't just memes. Sometimes it's true. You find
I don't think it's a joke
postings
anymore.
yeah, it's not just a meme. Makikita niyo lang yan if you get to find jobs na after you graduate. So the biggest challenge, it's not personally, but for others, from what I know, it's always finding the first job.
I see.
I see. I think I really should start up on developing my LinkedIn account.
Oh, yes. The earlier, the better.
Very true. How about you, Sir Joseph?
Same with Justin. Like the challenges I can think of is the technical challenges. So, but maybe for the audience who wants to like go into backend development, or what are the challenges na na-expect nila in the field, I can say is yung handling the legacy code. So there's some code that tawag nilang spaghetti code, right? Like all the modules are there. There's no proper separation of concern. The naming conventions is not good. And then so buggy because there's no structure in place. So that's like a common situation. So for me, I encountered that too. And in my first job, I also like creating a not so good code. I also experienced doing that. So later on, to one way to solve that is to really ask the business, ask the management to set time to refactor those structures, to fix those, and then siguro learn like software engineering principles i-apply, like do not repeat yourself, separation of concerns, lots of mga principles to guide you on how to develop. So I think that's all. Like in my case as well, like more on like those technical difficulties that will mold you to become a better developer, that will make your experience better.
Very true.
I see. Well, very nice answers, by the way. And I have a question. I don't think I'm the only one who feels this way, because in online class, or maybe even if in the online class, I have this feeling that I'm afraid to graduate incompetent. Like what if I graduate and I become nothing as an IT student or IT graduate? So what advice, speaking to all the people that feels the same, what advice would you give to those people, to me? Let's start with Sir Joseph.
Yeah, like there's a term na tatawag nila imposter syndrome. It's like the feeling of a developer na hindi siya enough, that his knowledge is not enough. But know that because if you start programming, all just you need to do is to gain is experience, and your experience will be your currency to get a new job. So, and also we are lucky in an Ateneo, like we have those hands-on experience, right? Like there's like a premium to hands-on experience, which is really, really good. Like I know for the fact that during college, we have like thesis at saka SAD, sometimes both at the same semester. And you have to sleep at 3 a.m. at night, coding, and then together with your friends who are like debugging as well, writing documents. Those experiences are very helpful. So if you find it very difficult, but just remember that you are doing it right. Code and code and code. try to make many mistakes early in your career, and that will just gain you experience. And experience is what will get you the job.
Mhm.
So
I see. That's very inspirational. Thank you so much for that. How about you, Sir Justin?
For me, I agree with Sir Joseph. With Ateneo, they really because I also studied here in Canada when I got here. I also studied like the MIT, Digital Media and IT. And so I can really see the difference when it comes to teaching, because here they only teach you how to use the tools. They don't emphasize on the more important things, which is problem solving, analytical skills. They don't focus on that. Pero sa Ateneo kasi, aside from the hands-on experience, it's what they teach you. It's how you tackle a problem. They give you like really hard problems, diba? That sometimes you only get to solve like when you're doing yung naliligo ka, when you're in the shower or when you wake up.
Oh man.
The hardest one is yung nakahiga ka na sa bed, after hours of trying to solve a problem. Then suddenly, paghiga mo sa bed, you're ready to sleep, naka-off na yung computer, and then suddenly you think of like the solution. I don't know if that happened to you guys, but it happened to me before.
Sometimes nasa dream mo na rin eh.
Yeah.
Nasusolve mo na sa panaginip mo yun minsan.
Speaking of that, si Father Denny before, yung isa sa mga things na tinuro niya sa amin is if you don't have nightmares about programming, kasi di ba siya yung first semester namin. Sabi niya, if you don't have nightmares about programming, then you're not meant to be a programmer.
Oh man.
After all these years, nag-stuck nasa isip ko talaga, I can't forget that one. I don't know if it's PTSD or something, pero joke lang, Father Denny. But yeah, I would say that aside from yung experiences at Ateneo, it's very good. You guys are very lucky. We were very lucky.
Yes.
And then the teachers really care. In Ateneo, like all of the teachers, I would say, they really value learning, and outside learning, they're really approachable. A lot of them you can talk to. I would say, like, if you're very worried about, not being ready when you graduate and then find a job, companies, when they hire like fresh graduates, they don't expect really big things from you. What they expect from you is to learn. They give you that opportunity to learn. They don't expect you to okay, gawin mo tong very big feature right away after they hire you. When you get a new job, it's true even for me, when you switch companies or when you get hired in a new company, there's always that downtime for me, it's 2 weeks na you need to learn everything, what they do, how they do things. You need to learn the project's code base and all that stuff. And as a new hire, as a new graduate, you can never be too ready, because in IT, it's always evolving then. Even when you have 10 years of experience in programming, you still need to teach yourself stuff that comes out. Like, especially now, sobrang bilis ma-develop ng mga tools na ginagamit in the workplace. Like, before, wala pang Git, yung version control. But then when we graduated, it was very popular. And so some of us thought that we were industry ready. But then when we started, some of my friends, when they started applying for jobs, may Git na pala, and it was part of like the requirement, the required skills in the work. And you need to also teach yourself outside Ateneo. Like learning shouldn't be just in school, but also you need to teach yourself, make it a habit to learn things outside.
There you go.
Very true. Very true. What I got from that actually, because like funny story, I started programming for an activity yesterday, and I was like racking my mind on it the entire day. And then when I went into the shower, boom, solution.
Yeah.
Very
The,
unfortunate plan.
the importance of shower thoughts for a programmer.
Yes. That's so true.
If only we could just like bring the computer into the shower.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it relieved me what Sir Justin said about the downtime of newly employed graduates, where you have the downtime to maybe a training perhaps, because I've been a call center agent, and there's like a time, oh, you need to train this, that before you go to the technical part. So it's really, for me, it's what you call that. It is a relief because it's like that din pala sa IT industry, which is good. That's good.
Very true. Anyways, hey guys, unfortunately, that's all actually the time we have left for this episode.
That was really nice. I've had a lot of realizations, especially I asked some questions that I have thought myself too. But yes, this has been a very, very productive podcast and a very nice episode. Very inspiring too, of course.
Kelly and I would like to thank the two of you for coming on this show tonight. And I'd just like to say it really has been an honor to like be on the show with you guys. I can definitely say that I learned a lot today. Not specifically about back-end development, but more of what lies beyond the graduation.
Yeah. The industry party though, it is really, because for me it's really nerve-wracking to think about the future. And you guys this is the second episode, and I see that it's not always good at first. You can never be ready, as what Sir Justin said. So it really gives me a relief. I hope for the listeners too. So thank you so much for your time. Of course, your time. What time is it there? I know it's like 10 a.m. there or 9 a.m. It is very early. And to think that you guys have work, we are very, very happy that you took the time to, make this podcast with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us. And I also learned a lot from this. Learn from both you, the host, and from Justin. Yeah, this is a good conversation, and hope to connect with you guys. I will add you in the LinkedIn or any way. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And also, thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, everyone. And also, make sure to tell everyone that the show or this podcast is available it is actually for free in Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. So to keep up with Incognitalk, make sure to follow us on Twitter. We are on Twitter at adu_cs. We are also on Facebook. Just search Ateneo de Davao University Computer Studies Clusters. And as always, let us explore the incognito together. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Justin, Sir Joseph.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.